Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. I hope you all know what a national treasure you have in Dr. Clough. I'm sure you think of him as a local authority, a local leader, but he's much more than that. He's a national leader, and that's important to you and important to the United States. Let me talk a little bit about what's going on in the NASDAQ stock market, and then let me try to relate that to what I think is important for you as you enter a new phase of your life. Everybody's been focused on what's going on in things financial. People are confounded by the rising value of companies that appear to have little by way of traditional measures of value, little revenues, little profits. What's happening? We're actually seeing something happen that's happened many times before, but we're seeing it happen in a compressed time space. It's not unlike what happened when America built its railroads. In the early days of the railroads, beginning in 1828, but particularly after the Civil War, we saw a new way of doing things put in place that moved the costs of physical movement down not one, but sometimes 2, 3, and 4 orders of magnitude. It changed everything. It created new scope and new scale for business. It took our businesses from being local to being regional to being national. What we're seeing in the internet is the same sort of phenomenon in things that are not physical. Every business has an information component. Many businesses have a physical component. Even a locomotive has pricing, has maintenance schedules, has scheduling, has performance specifications. A whole lot of information is important to making that locomotive work. So you've got a large physical component to the business of locomotives, and you've got a large information component. Well, what's going on now is a land rush to claim space on this new lower cost curve. No industry has ever withstood a 2 or 3 order of magnitude change in its costs without being completely transformed. It is challenging to the older operators and opportunity for new entrants. And that's a large part of why you're seeing companies that don't meet any of the traditional measures being valued highly in our market. There's a new book coming out called Cracking the Value Code by Arthur Anderson that addresses this. The point that the authors make is that we've all been trained to measure how well managers extract value from the assets that they've been given to work with. What's happening in the internet is no one's interested in extracting value. They're only interested in building value. And so we have a tremendous number of people saying this is a break in the technology, this is a new technology curve, and there's opportunity for me. Well, how does this relate to you? And how does the NASDAQ market have a lesson for you? The NASDAQ market on the surface is about money, and we certainly are the topic of the financial shows on television and cable television and in the media. But in reality, beneath the surface, the NASDAQ market is about allocating resources. And we allocate resources every day based on people's view of what companies are going to have merit, what companies are going to succeed. So we work hard to create a level and fair playing field in which entrepreneurs can come find investors, present their ideas, and have their ideas funded. I'm not surprised that there are already a number of companies that have been formed by Georgia Tech undergraduates. We're seeing this in colleges all over the United States, indeed all over the world. What we would like to do for you is to give you a platform in which the rules are known, the rules of behavior are known. And we're beginning to be visited by entrepreneurs who want to start markets in many other areas. You may have seen markets spring up for steel, for telecommunications bandwidth, for chemicals, for plastics. Many of these entrepreneurs have come to the NASDAQ and said, what can I learn from you? What have you already experienced? And we say to them that far more important than the computer infrastructure are the rules by which humans engage with each other. So we're entering into a period in which there are going to be lots and lots of markets. Two other things are going on that are terribly important to you. One is the explosion of knowledge, and the other is the internetworking of the world. The cornucopia that we're enjoying today, this high standard of living, this wonderful high level of employment, really depends on basic research that was started 30 and 40 years ago. And I would suggest to you and your parents who are here today to get engaged in this effort to make sure that we continue as a country to invest in basic research. No clusters of innovation occur without a great research university at their center. I can't find a single example of a community with the vibrant, sustained growth that you're experiencing here in Atlanta without a university like Georgia Tech at the core. So the explosion of knowledge that you're enjoying should not be taken for granted. You and your parents need to talk with your elected representatives about funding basic research in organizations like the National Science Foundation. So the second piece of this major set of trends that we've got, in addition to markets, this creation of knowledge is going to be something that you must work at. By the way, as Dr. Clough said, this is just the first chapter of your keeping yourself educated. You're going to have to reinvent yourself as technology cycles reinvent themselves as part of this explosion of knowledge. Now, the third thing that's happening, markets, explosion of knowledge, and networking of the world, is also profoundly important to you. You're going to find yourself in a world where competition is global. You're going to find yourself in a world where if you don't work hard with merit, with honor and integrity, in an honest way, you're going to find yourself outcompeted by someone you've never heard of some other place in the world. I just returned from India. What's going on in India is fantastic and amazing and great for the world. They're using their educational facilities to offer their labor on a global basis, not only in computing but also in biotechnology and science. You can have work done in India, transported by satellite anywhere in the world, arbitraging labor costs on a world basis. I suggest to you that that means for you that you must get very, very good at something, even as you try to maintain the broad outlines of general knowledge in your life so that you will have perspective. Markets are all about transactions that are mutually advantageous. The growth of free markets around the world is setting up a huge positive cycle that should allow us to have a long period of time for sustained growth in the world economy. After World War II, we had maybe 50 million people in the world who had any disposable income at all. We now have maybe 1 billion or 1.5 billion. People around the world all want the same thing. They want their children to be educated and to live a better life than they have. There's a chance, if governments don't mess it up through war or inflation, and if we don't have pandemics like AIDS, that we could be in a very, very long period of sustained growth. That's a tremendous opportunity for you. And I challenge you to put this wonderful education that you've gotten at Georgia Tech to work. Be a leader, speak up, participate, and keep working. Thank you.